Hello, music lovers. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. And this video, I decided to do something a little bit different. This is going to be a shorter video, a little bit more focused, a little bit more simpler. You know, not every time I want to say something does it have to be a big production. So you may get some shorter videos mixed in amongst maybe the more complicated ones. I was going through this interview that I did with Squire and White of Yes. I got to meet them back in 1999, and I was listening to the interview. And one of the things that I really thought was interesting was White. He was talking about music. He was talking about digital music, MP3s, and the effect that this was having on the industry and on artists and on revenues. And he could see that there was trouble brewing. And so I'm going to play that clip for you in just a minute. It's only about a minute long, but I want to kind of set it up because 1999, if you were a music lover back in those days, I know for myself, as we got to 2000, I remember distinctly that it was the first time that I was able to burn my own CD with music that I didn't own, that I didn't go out and buy. It was a major, major shift because for the first time, artists were putting out product that people didn't have to buy. And this was a game changer. And you may recall 1999 was the year that Napster came out. This was a file sharing software that you installed, and you were able to share music with your friends. You know, for the first time, you could own your friend's music collection, and they could own yours, or you could own music collections from people all over the world. You know, Metallica had an issue with this because one of their demos that they never intended for release wound up getting onto Napster, and people were hearing this demo that Metallica had created. I think it was for I Disappear. They weren't too happy about it. They sued Napster. They wound up winning. Their entire record industry wound up going after file sharing services, but I think that they wound up wasting a lot of time in the end because file sharing was here to stay. It's even here now. Artists were getting worried because, you know, this is what they did. They created music. They spent a lot of time doing it. There was a lot of money and a lot of resources went into it, and they counted on album sales. But now this was all being threatened. And so this is what White of Yes had to say about MP3s and digital music and the loss of revenue and what this could potentially mean to artists. Okay, so check this out.
Well, it's getting more intense as we speak, going into the next millennium. I think MP3 is great. I wish I just got shares in it. In my mind, it sparks a thing. I'm saying to myself, okay, sooner or later the artists are going to be suffering so much. People are just going to, you can buy a couple of CDs now and just burn your own and give them to all your friends. So that's going to affect the industry, I think, you know, and I think it's just going to, somewhere along the line, somebody's got to give a shot in the side here and say, look, what about the guys who are actually making all this stuff? And I think it's going to turn around somewhat in the future. Hopefully it will, because we're just going to be left to be touring forever. I mean, that's what's going to be. It's I don't know, somewhere down the line, somebody's got to do something, I think.
Yeah, so Alan was really on point here. I mean, he talks about how the artists are going to suffer, and they've been suffering. They're still suffering 20 plus years later. You'll read about it quite often, how artists are not getting the royalties that they're actually due. He even talks about how they're going to have to tour forever and be on the road endlessly, and that's the way it's been. Artists have been touring and touring. You know, how many artists do you know of that are on tour every single summer? Maybe they're out by themselves, or they're out in some kind of a package deal, and they're always playing live because that's where they make the money. And in terms of Yes, you know, touring has been a major piece of their pie. You know, their lead singer, John Anderson, just a few years later would get sick, and the band decided to go on without him. They decided that it was worth going out on tour endlessly than to sit around waiting for their iconic lead singer to get better. You know, I don't want to go down that road, but I just wanted to just emphasize how Yes has had to go where the money is at any cost. White even hurt his back. He had to have surgery to the point now where he is barely a member of the band now. He doesn't play with them live a whole lot. He comes on for the encores maybe because he has had problems with his back, and that's affected his ability to play drums. So you can see how there's a domino effect. And what happened was that these lawyers and everything, they mistakenly kept trying to bring down the whole streaming monster, but it's impossible. They figured out the hard way after wasting a lot of time that you know, this whole streaming thing is not going away, all right? So best to learn how to work with it. And so that's where we got the rise of the streaming platforms and the subscription services, with like Spotify being probably at the top of the heap. And actually the guy that owns Spotify actually had the balls to come out and tell artists that you might need to put out some more product in order to make some more money. And this is how a couple of artists responded to that. I mean, certainly you don't want to tell that to Mike Portnoy, who puts out a lot of albums anyway every single year. This is what he said to the CEO of Spotify. He said, "What a greedy little bitch. It's bad enough that he's worth billions based on stealing and giving away other musicians' music, but now he's suggesting we need to make more music for him to make more money. I have 8 full album releases in 2020 and will make peanuts on them, if anything at all." So his theory of artists needing to make more music to succeed is shit. And then you got Dee Snider, who of course is from Twisted Sister, and this is what he had to say about Spotify taking money out of his pocket. "While you, the listener, benefit and enjoy Spotify, it's part of what's killing a major income stream for artists and creators. The amount of artists rich enough to withstand this loss are about 1%. You see, the problem is that when MP3s and Napster came out and the ability to copy CDs, while the lawyers were trying to chase down the streaming services to no success, what wound up happening was the record industry just got decimated. And then the streaming services come in, and instead of giving the artists what they were due, they basically started from zero and started working their way up again. So any revenue that did come in from the Spotify's and maybe YouTube Music and all this stuff, it goes to the record labels. And now you're asking the record labels to give the artists what they're due. I mean, and this gets back to, you know, old problems. The record labels do not give artists what they're supposed to. You know, the artists are the ones coming up with the product. This is everything is tied around what the artists do, and they're the last ones to get paid. Yeah, I mean, these artists are figuring it's better to just cash in, just sell my life's work. At least I know what I'm going to have, so I can let my family split it up and I can figure out what I'm going to do. Because, you know, like I was just talking about, if going on the road is the way that you make money, well, a lot of bands are not going on the road for one reason or another now. Maybe they're getting too old, or maybe because of this bullshit that's going on, they're not touring and they don't know what the future of that is. Talk about the streaming and the shit show that is. So it's like artists are thinking, you know, I got the stuff to leave my family and the uncertainty of music and where it's headed, I might as well cash out. Bob Dylan, he just cashed out. He sold his entire collection for 25 times more than what he would be making year after year. So it's like a no-brainer, right? And there's lots of other artists doing the same. Let me know what you think about artists selling off their entire catalogs, and what do you think about digital music and where everything's headed, and what Alan White was talking about. What'd you think of that? And also let me know if you want to hear the rest of my interview with him and Chris Squire from 1999. And be sure to drop your comment below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and hit that subscribe button too. I'll have more videos coming your way soon, all right? So be sure to take care of yourself, and I will see you again soon.